All right, welcome to the Straight Red Card. We are back now with the player ratings for the U.S. versus Canada game. Make sure you like and subscribe. And
I was about to interrupt you and say that too.
No,
before we go there, let's make sure you like and subscribe.
Yeah, share it, rub it on your butt, like I said before, but not on your asshole. Well, if you want to do that, you could do that too. Just don't tell us and then put the bar of soap back in the tub, if that's what you're going to do. So yeah, I mean, we got to get into these ratings. And you know, after that game, and I was thinking about kind of how all commercials today and so many songs today are like self-affirmative songs. Like, you know, what was I playing? FIFA 07 the other night. Yeah, I'm old school. And one of the songs, the lyrics was, everybody gets knocked down. How quickly are you going to get up? You know, like kind of affirmation things.
Stealing Chumbawamba there, man.
Is that what that is?
You get knocked down.
Oh, no, not that
again.
song. That's another one that uses that theme. This is some other total poser band on FIFA 07 that plays in the background. And I think the other lyric was, it's not where you are, it's where you're going. Well, you know what? If where you are is in a giant vat of shit, where you are does matter, because you know that's not, and you can't get out. Well, you got to worry about right now. And right now is you're in a giant vat of shit. And that's kind of where we are after the first two games. It's not horrible. It's not quicksand. We can climb out of this vat of shit, but it's going to take some effort and changing, which we talked about on the last show. But meanwhile, some people are blaming the players, Brett. Some people are blaming Gregg. Some people think Gregg's a fucking genius. Some people think our players suck. You know what? You know, there's a truth, and it's really neither that Gregg sucks or that our players suck either. It's that we just haven't found what we need to do. And yes, you can be critical of both, which we're about to do with all of them, including Gregg. So let's do player ratings.
Real quick, though, I do want to say I had this conversation, was listening to some of our player ratings from the El Salvador game.
Yeah.
And I was telling some friends, I'm like, you know, this is a difficult thing to do, because you look at how horrible of a game El Salvador was. But when you start looking at player by player and you're like, well, they did this, and this wrong, but they also did this, and this right. So there's a lot of times that we come out and we're like, yeah, so-and-so had a B-, and then we get flamed saying, yo, I can't believe you gave him a B-. He was horrible. He should have gotten an F. I'm like, well, he didn't have an F performance. It just wasn't great.
I think
I feel like sometimes we tend to be a little on the nicer end for the most part. I think we also just take into consideration that it wasn't 90 minutes of shit. It was 75 minutes of okay and maybe 15 minutes of shit. You know?
Yeah. So and I made this explanation last time, but you know, for those of you who are like, I want a 10-point system or I want a 5-point system. Okay, well then make one on your own. Okay, we're doing us. Okay, and don't take it so seriously is the other thing. We're having a good time while we're doing this. So, and I made the explanation that if I was in school and I brought home a C+ to my mom or my dad, and they looked at the paper and they saw a C+ when I was in middle school, they go, hey, what the fuck's going on? Why'd you get a C? They don't care about the plus at the end.
Yeah.
But the basic idea is a C is really not that good, guys. And even if I brought home a B-, they're like, whoa, that's close to a C. And, you know, B's were like, okay, you better get a B, right? And then A's were like, good. That's good stuff.
That's where you need to be.
That's the lane you need to be in, Derek, if you don't want to be a fucking idiot or dig ditches as you get older. And if you do dig ditches, no offense to you.
No offense.
Somebody's got to fucking dig ditches. All right. Yeah. We are people of the people. So let's start with Turner, right? Okay. That one's easy. He gets like a B+. I mean, he did fine. He didn't do anything wrong. And the goal wasn't his fault.
No.
But the only thing I would say is early in the game, even when he didn't have to boot the long ball because he had some time and space, he still booted the ball. He didn't need to. We could have been allowed the back a couple times when he did that.
So I think a lot of that stems down to his confidence with the ball at his feet. There were a number of times where he just got rid of it, yeah. And you're like, well, bring it down. I mean, I understand that it's still suspect when you get the ball at your feet, but at least let's bring it down. Let's move it around. But I mean, I gave him a B+ as well, but that's mainly because you're right. The goal was not his fault. We can't, be harsh on him about that. He made a lot of big saves on a lot of long, high crosses and stuff like that. He came out and he made that amazing save on that issue where Dest kind of fell asleep there and Davies did the cross back and they had the shot. He made that nice save. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, he came up big when he could come up big. So, yeah, the B+, you could even make the argument for an A-, but I mean, we're splitting hairs at that point.
Well, yeah, and I think Greg talked to him at halftime because after the half, whenever we could play the ball at the back, he played the ball at the back. He didn't boot it.
Yeah.
I think booting is something you do when the other team's high pressing. They weren't even pressing in certain cases, and he still booted the ball at the field. So that's my only complaint about Turner. Mm-hmm. He would have had to grow a whole nother appendage, hopefully with a foot on it to save, or a hand on it to save the goal that happened. It's not savable. It wasn't his fault.
No.
Miles Robinson, I gave him an A-. I thought it's one of the best games he's ever had for us.
Yeah, I mean, I give him a B+. Nothing against him, in all honesty, in that sense, by giving him the B+. I didn't think there's anything that was overly excellent, if you will. But I thought he played solidly. He had that chance on goal at the end too. So
he was excellent in the first half. Period. His second half, he made some defensive errors.
Yeah.
So I had him at a B+, but he got the assist, so I moved him up to A-. So not a real big difference there.
Sorry, this is a mix-up because I was thinking of Miles Robinson. My bad.
Oh, okay.
this was bound to happen. One of us was bound to make this mistake, depending on who talked about it. No,
yeah.
I'm still giving Robinson. Anthony Robinson had a good game. In all honesty,
maybe I said Miles Robinson.
I don't know. I don't remember. I've had way too many drinks today as a whole.
I'm high as a kite. So
I had a cookout today, so we've been drinking all day. This happens. I had to limit myself during the game because I knew I was gonna have to come on here, and I'm like, dude, I am not gonna come on here slurring about.
Yeah, I know.
Anthony Robinson had a great game.
Yep,
hands down. He had the assist. He was solid on defense, barring a couple of instances. But as a whole, I thought this was one of his better games, like you said.
I think it was one of his best games. His first half was phenomenal.
Yeah,
I thought he was great. I never seen him this confident before, and it was really a breath of fresh air. So since you already did Miles Robinson, maybe we should start calling him Anthony and Miles, so we don't use, because that's a lot of Robinsons. Mrs. Robinson. That gets confusing after a while. For you folks who don't know that song, look it up. All right. Simon and Garfunkel, Mrs. Robinson. Excellent song. Mm-hmm. So I gave him a B+ too. I thought he was rather solid. I didn't think he had any major errors. I mean, he got a few bumps, but you're playing defense. You're going to have some bumps and screw ups. He made a couple bad passes, but generally pretty solid. I think he is laying stake to be next to Brooks in every game going forward.
I'm sorry, but it has to be, in all honesty, at this point, until he proves otherwise, not being deservingly that position. Because quite frankly, his pace is just something we desperately need.
I wrote this down. So funny you said that. I have Robinsons both fucking fast. That's all I got.
Not Davies fast, but still fast as fuck.
Pretty fast for a center back.
Yeah,
that's for sure. Yeah. That dude has some good speed.
No, he has to be Brooks's partner from now on, unless again injury or just exhaustion or something. I don't know, but if I have to start somebody next to him every game, it's going to be him right now.
Yeah, and likewise, I gave Brooks a B+. I didn't think he was horrible. I don't necessarily think the goal was his fault. That probably falls on Yedlin's head. So I gave him a B plus. I didn't think he made any major fuck ups, and maybe he could have helped on that cross. Maybe he was a bit slow going back, but I'm not sure. I got to rewatch the video.
I mean, just obviously from the goal itself, Yedlin was the biggest culprit of it, of course. But again, Davies is just stupid fast. I mean, yeah. He's just like, I mean, Yedlin and Yedlin of old, Yedlin of young, I guess, a better way to describe it, probably would be on par with how fast Davies is right now. But since his time with Newcastle, he's lost a step. He became a better 1v1 defender, but he's lost a step. He's just not nearly as explosive.
2 surgeries.
That always hurts.
That'll do it.
But I mean, even though he got beat, the cross still occurred. Somebody lost their man in the middle. And again, you're right. I have to go back and take a look to see who was there. I know Brooks was in front of him. So, I mean, I guess would that be Brooks and Anthony Robinson at that point? I mean, from where Brooks was standing in front and Robinson behind, one of those two lost him. So it's not it's partially on Yedlin, mostly on Yedlin in that sense. Again, not taking anything away. Davies is fast as fuck, but somebody else lost their man. Somebody slept on it. They ball watched, got beat.
I just thought it was a really good cross.
Oh, sure. No, I'm not saying not taking anything away from the cross itself, but he was wide open. Somebody lost him.
Well, I think everybody was surprised. And that's the thing that bugs me more than anything else, is that they were surprised by Davies winning that ball out wide, or getting beyond Yedlin. And I don't think you can't get to a point where you're going to be surprised by something like that. Where was Adams? Where was, the midfield in general? Where was, as we said, Brooks? Robinson, I think Anthony was pushed pretty far up the field at that point on the other side. He couldn't get back in time. So, it's just one of those fucking weird chalk it up moments I wish it didn't happen, but it was inevitable in so many ways because Davies is just a great player. All right. So Dest played 40 minutes, just I think enough to give him a grade.
Sure.
And I gave him a B. A B plus, actually.
Oh.
I thought he made some great runs, but I also thought he almost fucked things up in the back. So
let's give him that B plus, huh? No, so I gave him a B, and I was going to make a comment when you said I gave him a B. I'm like, are you looking at my paper? You have a do I have my camera on right now? No. So I gave him a B because yes, he had that one blunder against Davies that should have resulted in a goal, but Turner saved his ass. But quite frankly, I thought Dest's 1v1 defending was better in this match.
Yep.
Surprisingly, being on the actual side of his strong foot. Oddly enough, playing right back is more beneficial than playing left back. But he also got into the attack, and he created a couple of opportunities. So, I mean, you could see that maybe, again, this goes into the whole formation comment. Maybe it'd be more beneficial with Robinson and Dest to have those 3 center backs behind them, that they can make those runs and be those creative forces on the side and go from there. We'll see what happens, I guess. But regardless, I gave Dest a B.
Yeah, that's fair. That was my original thought, actually. Adams, man, I feel like I'm giving out a lot of B's and B pluses, but another B plus. I don't think he was the problem tonight, but I also I think he missed some passes where I don't think he always sensed where the opportunities were when he had the ball at his feet. It was only a couple times where I felt that, but there were other times where we did have opportunities and he passed it behind the player instead of in front of them. Particularly one time with Anthony Robinson where, we were kind of on the counter and he passed it behind Robinson. I could probably give him a B, actually, because I think I expect more from Adams. I really do.
So I was tempted to give him a B minus just because of that reason alone, that you expect more. And I didn't think that was necessarily fair. I think as a whole, I think his performance is kind of like a B. He made some mistakes, but then most of the time he was solid in covering in the defense. He broke up a lot of plays. some of his passes weren't there, but as a whole, I thought he was pretty consistent. Not his best game, but then again, nothing that you can really tear him down for, But
I think it. Yeah, go ahead. Just go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just saying. I mean, yeah, I think a B's a respectable grade for him in this performance.
I think generally what I'd like to see him do better right now is kind of sense where the other team is the weakest. And since he is sort of the quarterback of the team a lot of the times, to start targeting that side or that area. I think the whole first half, I'm like, fuck, is Pulisic on the field for a whole chunk? We kept going down the right. I'm like, hey, we got a guy out left that can play fucking soccer. Why don't we find a way to get it out left? And every time it seemed, I think even Pulisic filtered back once and was like, can I get the fucking ball?
There was once where he was as deep as what Adams normally is.
Yeah, I'm sure that was very frustrating. Sometimes you got a sense where the other team's weakness and where your strength is, and really see and work that side for a while and see what you can get out of it. And if that doesn't work, then you can flip to the other side. Or maybe you don't need to go through a side because you have somebody in the fucking middle who can make a play. But that we don't have that either. So, I mean, we pretty much we got to go out wide to get everything going. That's how it works. So can't blame that all on Adams. But anyhow, that's on formation. Boy, we've been talking about formation a lot. Let's go with Legit. I just gave Legit a B. I don't know what else to give him.
I ended up giving him a B minus, primarily because he did some good things. I thought it wasn't a bad game by him by any means. And again, B minus isn't a bad grade by any means. It's slightly above average. And I don't know. It's sometimes though, we talked about this in the review. There were just some times where we were going on the attack, and instead of pushing it forward, he brought it back. And it slowed it down and allowed Canada to reform, get their defense in order. And I think it killed our attack from time to time. And he's not the only one who did this. And I hate to keep bringing this up just for him by any means, because that's his big number one problem that we always talk about is his constant playing it back. But he definitely did it.
Again, getting back to the rating system, a B. If I brought home a B when I was a kid to my parents' house, they'd say a B stands for better. You can do better. That's all that means, a B. A C, if I brought home a C, they would say C stands for can't. You can't do this again. Okay. So, all right. That's why the grades are where they are. Again, it sounds like we're giving nice grades, but really, I mean, what do you want us to do? Give them fucking Fs? Come on.
Well,
all right.
There's nobody on the pitch that deservedly would require an F, and quite frankly, even a D, despite the fact that we're disheartened by the result as a whole.
D for disheartened.
Hey-o.
Yeah, I mean, we are disheartened, but listen, we have given D's on this show. It's
rare, but it has happened.
Have we given an F?
Yes, Lewis.
Oh, yeah. We have given an F. Okay, yeah, we have. All right, so Acosta, B minus.
Yeah.
Same thing. Missed some, was the flow of the play developed? And then the ball got to him. I think sometimes he freaked out and passed it really fast, and he didn't have to. He could have surveyed the field a little more and decided, oh, this guy over here is really fucking wide open. But he'd get the ball and he'd be like, oh, who's the closest guy open to me? That was his first. And he was fine on defense. He gave his all, as he always does. But yeah, it wasn't next level for him. It was a basic B for him. And, we needed an A from everyone tonight. We got a lot of Bs.
Yeah. It's similar to what we experienced in the Gold Cup. He did well on the defensive side. And you just mentioned this really. He did well on the defensive side, but on the offense is sort of lacking. And you can't have both of your eights in this formation lacking in the offense. And when I initially saw this lineup, that was my initial thought process. Like, who's going to push it forward? And it ended up falling on Adams a number of times, or Brooks for that matter, a number of times, laying those long balls to the opposite side. And it's just we just did not have that creative side in the midfield, which is what's killing us.
If you added up the total creative ability of Acosta, Leggett, and Adams as midfielders, they would get like a C, because they're not that creative of players. They're not creative. They're not going to make something out of nothing. McKennie can make something out of nothing on occasion, which is why we needed him here tonight. And he wasn't here tonight because he was eating Twinkies out in the lobby with a bunch of girls. And you can't do that when you got a game the next day and there is, protocols. And so you can't do that. Right. But if you added up the total creative genius of this midfield, Adams is not a creative genius. Leggett was better when he was younger. He's less able now. I think he's less. It's not so that he's slower. He just can't make cuts as quickly after his knee surgery. And Acosta is just a really serviceable, hardworking motherfucker. But none of them are Zinedine Zidane. None of them are not Claudio Reyna. Well, they're not him either. Yeah. They're not Reyna. They're not Gio Reyna either. So there's just not a lot of creativity there. So if you expect creativity from there, it's a big problem, right? That's one of our biggest problems on this team currently. All right. Costa, did you give Acosta a grade?
I agree with your B-.
Oh, okay. Let's do Pulisic. You can start that one.
So I gave him a B-. And this is the reason for this is I mentioned it in the previous segment. I don't think he was involved enough, and that's not necessarily his problem.
Yep. It's not all his problem.
Yeah.
But that's fine for me.
He created some chances. He got fouled a lot. There were just sometimes he did try to be the hero mentality, try to take a little bit too much, which is fine. We needed somebody to do that, but his free kicks weren't great. His corner kicks, some of his corner kicks were fine. Maybe a B-. I'm going to stay with a B- because that's my initial thought process.
It's really interesting when you look at the players on our team that like to play hero ball. And when I say hero ball, I mean, that's like, there's really not much there, but you're going to go try to fucking dribble around 4 players and make it happen anyway, which is what Pulisic does. And he does it a lot. And I'm okay with some of that, but at least, make an assessment first on whether or not that's really worth your effort, because all right, you might get a foul out of it, or you're just going to lose the ball again. Yeah. And so that's something you look at the players who do that. That's Dest, Pulisic, and on this game tonight, Aronson did a little of that, but not as much as Pulisic. I think we've got to learn to temper hero ball. We've got to figure out when it's time to be a hero and when it's time to find an open man.
We mentioned it. We mentioned the previous segment. Keep it simple, stupid. Sometimes you just have to. Sometimes instead of looking forward and trying to find the hole between 4 guys, sometimes it's easier to play the ball to your right, 10 yards, and then make the run off of that ball. Maybe you'll get it back. Maybe you won't. But sometimes you just have to keep it simple. And when you try to make too much out of nothing, sometimes it just kills our momentum. And that's what we saw a lot of, especially against El Salvador. We saw it there too. We tried to do a little too much, got dispossessed, and all of a sudden we're on the defense again. Same thing happened here.
If someone builds a concrete wall right in front of you, you can either ram your head against it constantly until your skull splits open, or you can go, how long is this wall? Oh, it's not very long. I can just walk around it, So listen, that's what we're doing right now. We're doing a lot of ramming into walls. And so that's on Gregg. Gregg's got to figure out something else. We can't just ram our way through this. There's going to have to be other solutions and other ideas and other formations, as we mentioned. I gave the same grade for Pulisic. Although I think I gave him a B. I was nicer than you were. Aronson.
I gave him a B+.
Yeah, me too. I mean, he scored the goal. Yeah. I would even give him an A-, actually. I thought he was one of the most active, just motoring players out there. Gave like 100% fucking effort. Yeah, he got tired, which is why he was pulled. but he was tired for a good reason. He busted his ass out there.
Yeah. I mean, did he make mistakes? Absolutely. But I felt like his effort, his pressure, which caused the overall play that led to his own goal, all of that was key. And I think that that was the important part of our success in this game. That, mind you, got thwarted about 7 minutes later. But I thought he had a good game.
And I knew that was coming. That was the worst feeling too. Aronson was our man of the match for me. I thought he played the best out of everybody because I ended up giving PFOC a B as well. And so that makes him the highest grade, which makes him player of the match.
I think between him and Turner, I think are my two options there. But I think Aronson obviously gets because he got the goal. But Aronson then again, Turner also saved a goal. So take your poison.
Yeah, you can. But I mean, as far as overall effort and grit and grind, I'm going to have to. Yeah, I guess why I gave Aronson the bonus points on that one.
I ended up giving PFOC a B-. And I don't necessarily believe that this is his fault, similar to why I also don't believe it's ever Sargent's fault. I mean, it is sometimes their fault, don't get me wrong. Right. But I think the formation and I think the tactics are really just screwing anybody who plays the 9 position. It's screwing them over because we have yet... And I know Zardes has come through and he's gotten some results. But so is Sargent, so is PFOC, so is anybody who's really stepped in that position. But Adike has gotten results too. But I mean, our number 9 is so isolated, and all they do is they play their back to the goal and hope to God that he can maintain the possession to pass it off to one of our wingers or back to our 8s or even our 6. It's not a good position in the current setup.
Yeah. So basically against teams of higher quality than we played before, because everybody's bringing their best now and everybody's giving their all. Whenever there are games like that, where we're playing a higher quality competition, the center forward position has struggled, and that needs to be fixed. There needs to be a partner for that center forward to play with. And so far, I don't care who you put on, there's not been a partner. And that's a problem. I think that will do it for the player ratings.
You don't want to talk about the subs?
Oh yeah, let's do the subs real quick. But I was let's do the subs. Yedlin, I gave him a B.
Yeah, I kind of gave.
He fucked
C+
up.
to B- is where I'm at. Outside of his one fuck up there that led to the goal, I thought he did well. Yeah, and I think he did well, even maintaining Davies for the most part. But yeah, that fuck up definitely led to us dropping 2 points. And again, Davies is stupid fast, and it's hard to do that, but it fell on him.
Now, I haven't reviewed the film, and if I do, and I noticed that it wasn't Yedlin's fault because we were supposed to be playing a higher line, and somebody was lagging back and kept Davies on sides, because I thought he looked off sides for a second, but that might just be me. Anyhow, yeah, that's fine. I think he did fine. That one mistake is hard to ignore, though. So I agree with you. Conrad, I'm giving it incomplete. There was just not enough there for me to give him a grade.
Sure.
I mean, he played 5 minutes? Come on.
No, he came in with Sargent, and they had about 10 minutes total, but he barely touched the ball.
It was
which goes to my point earlier in the previous segment, is Berhalter needs to give his players a chance to perform. I mean, when you come in and you make 3 subs at the 80th minute plus,
it was 84th.
They're not going to do anything.
It was the 84th fucking minute.
Is that when they finally got in there?
I went up to the screen because my eyes are bad, and I'm like, what fucking time is this? And I think it was the 84th, if my brain is still working. I'm like, what? Yeah. We're giving these guys 6 minutes? What the fuck is up with that? Anyhow, yeah, because we needed subs 20 minutes before.
Yep.
So that's why I can't give him a grade. He didn't get to play, hardly. enough. I can't grade a guy if you like give the guy a test and it's it's going to take an hour, but you only give him 10 minutes to take the test that will take an hour long. It wouldn't be fair to give him a grade, so I can't do it. Sargent, same thing, although I almost could give him a grade because he got involved immediately and
consistently.
Yeah, it was good to see that from Sargent. So,
well, I mean, when you're in for 5 to 6 minutes, you might as well, bust your balls and run everywhere you can.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, yeah, he was he drew a late foul that Pulisic skyrocketed. He played a solid 9 in that sense, where he played his back to the goal. Didn't really have any opportunities because, well, you only had 6 minutes. Fuck it. But I thought he came in for those 6 minutes and really impacted the game. Whereas we mentioned Conrad tried to, but passes never came. He really just didn't get an opportunity to step into the game because limited time. I mean, Roldan even was more involved than Conrad, but even then, Roldan wasn't involved that much.
Yeah. So. Yeah, which is why Roldan gets an incomplete for me too. But going back to what you said, that free kick that Pulisic took at the end of the game is one of the things that I added as a strike against him. I thought it was a selfish play. I also thought he must have been thinking in his head from that distance, well, this is going to take a miracle. He must have been thinking that because there is no way in hell he's going to score from that distance with the little kind of shot he was going to have to curl into that corner.
I mean, the keeper had it. 100%. Oh, yeah. He's like, well, it's going way over. We're fine.
Even if it would have gone where Pulisic put it, he would have caught it standing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, I mean, that was a selfish play. It was example of hero ball. We don't need hero ball. That should have been a nice curled lob pass into the pack of Wolverines that we had in the box ready to pounce on whatever ball came into the box.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been a better play. And that's something Gregg needs to fix too. Listen, in that situation, Gregg's already got to have that worked out with his players. Listen, this is too far out. So when we get in that situation and we're down a goal or we're tied and there are only 10 minutes left, I want you to heave that in the box.
Nope. I'm sorry. We don't have that go-to free kick taker that's going to lace that nice dipping ball over the wall into the corner. We have players who may be able to do that from time to time, but quite frankly, we're at a point now where we're not scoring a ton of goals. We need that ball lobbed into our big headers, our big players that are going to just crash that box and create a chance. And that's how we beat Mexico in the Nations League. McKinney had 3 headers on various free kicks, whether it's corner kicks or free kicks. He had 3 headers. One resulted in a save that Reyna ended up putting away. One resulted in a goal, and one resulted in a really nice save. But we lobbed it in there for our big boys to get ahead on.
Yep, and that works a lot of the time. And so why we didn't do it, like I said, it comes down to hero ball. It comes down to Christian Pulisic as the captain taking that responsibility on, and he just took on. That's like being young. You make rash decisions. That was a rash decision that Pulisic made all by himself, and he shouldn't have made it. He should have got something chipped in there that we can get ahead on or something. But it didn't happen. We don't have a Dempsey with a guy who can launch a ball from that far, like a rocket ball. All right, we don't have a guy. And I'm talking about this skill specifically. I'm not saying that Pulisic isn't a better player than Dempsey, or they're very different players on that remark. But I'm just saying that's a specific skill. We don't have a Landon Donovan who can hit like the dime corner of on a free kick. We don't have that guy. So if we don't have that guy, let's do the sensible thing. And we didn't do it.
Yeah, and to use an example of myself, this is only high school ball, so don't take it with a grain of salt here. Done. But I could score a lot of goals. Mm-hmm. But when it came to free kicks and shit like that, I could not curl the ball, dip it, do any of that shit. So I didn't fuck around with that. I got myself in the box and went with whatever we could go with.
That's so funny.
It is a set play that people are skilled at doing, and not everybody's skilled equally.
Yeah. So that's so funny you said that. So in high school, for me too, when there was a free kick just outside the box, I would take it because I could curl it, but I didn't have much power. So I was a skinny little shit. But if we had one that was a little further out and it required somebody who could really lace one, then that was Chad McGowan, right? But if it was closer, on one side it would be David Ward, if it was on the other side it was me. So, but those are all things you need to take in consideration. Your skill at a certain specific task. Are you good at it? And if you're not, you got to give it up to somebody else, or you got to do something smart. Well, all right. So I think that does it for player ratings, but we need to do Gregg Bull. We need to Gregg, baby.
I don't want to do Gregg either. So
do the Gregg.
Worst dance ever.
All right, so don't do the Gregg because it sucks. It's like watching a zombie dance. All right, and
practically the Bernie.
Gregg's grade C. Sorry, Gregg.
I'm giving him a C- for his late subs.
Oh, you're right. I'm giving him a C- for I forgot the late subs part. God damn it. All right. Yeah. I just think there's a lot of improvement here. A lot of improvement. If Gregg brought this paper home to me and I was his dad, I'd go, Gregg, this needs a lot of work.
Get your shit together.
It needs a lot of work. There are a lot of adjustments that need to be made to make this paper an A+ paper or a B+ paper or even a C+ paper. This is not a good paper. All right. We can start, but we can't do this incrementally, Gregg. You got to stay up all night and work on this paper to make it an A paper, since the teacher's allowing you to turn it in tomorrow for a new grade. And so
turn it in for Wednesday.
Yeah, he needs to turn it in by Wednesday.
Yep.
And he needs to make some fixes. And all these people that say, well, it's all Gregg's fault or it's all the players' fault. It's never it's never that definitive. It's not black and fucking white. It's both. The players need to fix their mentality. Gregg needs to help them do it. And he needs to figure out tactically and formation wise what he can do to change things up. Because right now we're just plain predictable. Period.
Yep.
That's it. Yep. I think we're done here, folks. All right. So again, thank you for everybody for following, for liking, keep subscribing, or excuse me, if you already subscribed, tell others to subscribe.
Spread the word.
Yeah. Try to stay positive. We got a game Wednesday and we're going to cover that in the next segment. And that's going to be against Honduras. Until the next time on the Straight Red Card. Good night.